Welcome to another episode. I am V, and this is the Sussex Set. And wow, in my Flavor Flav voice. Well, sorry, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a warning right now. I'm gonna be obnoxious on this one. Not purposefully, but just because, wow. Harry is really not messing with his family no more. He said it. And I think the girls didn't believe him when he said that he's not playing those games. So let me just back up a little bit. But again, let me go ahead and let you know, because if it ain't your cup of tea, because we don't do tea over here in America, in the Americas, we don't do tea like y'all do over here. So if it ain't your cup of tea, I'm going to need you to go ahead and turn this off right now, because I'm finna let it all hang out. Now, let me just back all the way up to the news itself, in case you haven't heard. And I understand there's a lot of people. Some people be on Twitter, some people be on Instagram, some people be on Facebook. With all the time differences, we really living in a global community right now. And so this news just broke, and a lot of people may not hear it until they see this video, a Sussex Squad podcast video, or see a random, Sussex Royal post at some point in the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the video now. The news being that Harry and Meghan are no longer using their HRH titles. The talks that began with the royal family and Harry ironing out their step-back transition as they're stepping back from full-time royal duties, senior royal duties, into pretty much a private life. More of a respectful life, one that they can be proud of, one where they can protect their family, one where they can protect their children, and one where they can be examples for not just their children, but all of the young people that have their eyes on them, and them essentially stepping back and saying, we're not into this game. We're not into the way the press has pretty much gone in. We're not into the way that we're just going to be expected to sit back while, let's say it again, while the family stands back while we're on the front lines as a shield, because as long as they're dragging us, they're not dragging anybody else who probably needs to be dragged. But, forget dragging anybody. No one family, no one couple out of that whole entire family that has a history of committing all kinds of atrocities, even in present day, if you want to look at the Queen's deviant son. Right now, it makes no sense for the people who are bringing the most interest to the family to be the most battered and abused. They put out that initial statement last week saying, we're stepping back. The news was leaked by somebody in the family to the press. That's when the guy that works for the Sun, I won't mention his name on this podcast, when he leaked the story, and it turned out to be true. The next day, Harry and Meghan broke their own news saying they're stepping back. So now Harry's been in these talks. And now, not only are they going to not split their time between the UK and I won't say the US, North America, but, Meghan is American. So, you got all the Americas over here. So let's just say the Americas. Now they're spending the majority of their time in the Americas, Canada, and while they're still retaining their HRH status, they're giving up their titles. And they're paying back the $2.4 million, which they shouldn't have to. Now, that's the one point that kind of makes me hot, right? Makes me a little bit mad. They shouldn't have to pay that back, but I'm sure they volunteered. I don't think anybody's making them pay that back because it's not their property. It belongs to the Queen. But what I feel is happening is they're saying, okay, why don't we remove all the points of pain that all of you folks over here who can't stop criticizing me and my wife, we're going to remove it all. We're going to pay you back for the little cottage that you keep complaining about, talking about you a taxpayer. We're not finna use these little funky ass titles, which, by the way, I love because of the symbolic nature of them. But at the same time, they just titles. They don't make you or break you. They don't make you who you are. And we see people in that family with titles who ain't doing nothing with them. All right. So they're differentiating themselves in every possible way. So they're saying you can take the cottage, you can take the titles, and you can take this little money from the sovereign grant. So what you gonna complain about now? And so the statement reads, and supposedly this is from the Queen herself. Not sure if it was dictated. I guess at this point it really doesn't matter, but okay, girl. Following many months of conversations and more recent discussions, I am pleased that together we have found a constructive and supportive way forward for my grandson and his family. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much loved members of the royal family. And I'm pausing so you can laugh. I took 2 bars off just to laugh. Continuing. I recognize, sorry, y'all. I recognize the challenges they have experienced as a result of intense scrutiny over the last 2 years and support their wish for a more independent life. Okay, let me just continue because I got so many thoughts. I want to thank them for all their dedicated work across this country, the Commonwealth, and beyond. And I am particularly proud of how Meghan has so quickly become one of the family. And the statement ends, "It is my whole family's hope that today's agreement allows them to start building a happy and peaceful new life." That's probably the one fact that I can agree with in this statement. That I will say, at face value, yeah, it makes sense. Pretty much the rest of it, while it's a statement and it's what, it's probably the type of statement they would have rather released before Harry and Meghan broke their own news because of the leaker in the family from last week when they were talking about their original plans when Harry and Meghan didn't get the chance to actually iron anything out. And then Buckingham Palace released a statement saying, well, we still talking about it. So, just everybody just hold on for a second. That's what this first statement should have actually said. But the fact that this statement, and the irony is it's a statement about their departure from senior working royals. The fact that they are finally or just now acknowledging the scrutiny that Harry and Meghan put up with, which is the whole reason why they're leaving, the criticism, the unfair criticism that shielded everybody else in the family. And yes, it does say from Her Majesty the Queen, but Queen, where were you in the last 3 years? And Harry's the favorite grandson. Everybody knows that. He's the favorite prince too. But where were you? And I understand the press is going to be the press and the tabloids are going to be the tabloids, and they pretty much police themselves. But we've been saying for literal years at this point, they come out swinging when anybody says anything foul about Kate. They come out swinging, sis. Will or Kate. Where were you when all the most terrible things were being said about Harry and Meghan? And they're still out here outworking just about everybody at their level. Yeah, I know there are people who have 500 and 400 engagements a year, but they're not the ones bringing interest to the royal family. They're not the ones who in 2019 made the world refocus in a positive way on the royal family. It was Harry and it was Meghan. It wasn't the ones who were now trying to adopt their styles, who've hung up their coat dresses. They're coming lately trying to adapt to a quote unquote new way of being a modern royal. That's why I say you can go ahead and bring out the coat dresses. Bring them back. Because that's you. Will, you can go ahead and go back to wherever you what you was doing. When we know what you was doing. Y'all can go back to the past now. Because the two people who tried to bring y'all out into the future, you push them away. You, in conjunction with the press, and I will always believe this. The royal family, they wanted it both ways. They wanted Harry and Meghan to do all of the work. They wanted them to bring all of the attention. Because as long as Harry and Meghan was there, and you got to understand, the people who listen to this podcast, the people who are always on Twitter and on Instagram and they know all of the details, that's not the average person. The average person doesn't really know what they're going through. Now they do. But the average person didn't really know. Or maybe they were just in passing reading and believing whatever the tabloids put out about Harry and Meghan, not really knowing the details of what these people were going through. And the royal family knew that. They knew that. They knew that. That's why they didn't feel like they had to get off of their behinds to say anything in defense of them. But now that this is now a breaking global story, they're trying to present it as, well, you know, we just wish them the best. And yeah, what they did go through was pretty bad. Ain't nobody buying that. Because what they went through was with your cooperation. And so the royal family, while they can try to act as if the world doesn't know what Harry and Meghan ultimately went through in order to break free from that, we know. The internet keeps receipts. And now, especially since they are pretty much leaving royal life as they knew it behind, we see all kinds of royal reporters telling on themselves. Oh, they changing their tune. Like U-turns. Full U-turns. They're changing their tunes and they're telling on themselves. And they're telling on people who would help drudge up the things that were bringing them profit as long as Harry and Meghan were there. But see, now they can kiss him goodbye. And I just saw something that said Rupert Murdoch is opening a U.S. Sun. Guess what it says? You can open the new U.S. Sun if you want to. That's fine. But we don't do that tabloid over here. Not to that extent. Not to where it's actually mistaken for real news. Because we kind of different over here. And I'm going to keep saying it until I'm tired of saying it. People over in Europe love to talk about Americans. And yeah, we got a clown for president. We do. We do. Ain't nobody going to hide that. And yeah, America, we got some things that we need to work on. And we always have. But at least we see the devil and we point to it. We don't pretend that it's not there. And you ain't gonna never be able to say that about America. We don't pretend racism isn't in the fabric of this nation. The only thing we can try to do is methodically, step by step, generation by generation, get it out. We don't ignore the fact that it is there. And so here Meghan is, not even 100% black. The fact that she's not 100% white is what got under people's skin over there. And you would have expected the UK to be better. So while they point to us, and I can't even put it on the UK, I'm going to just go ahead and say England. You would expect England to be better than that. You would expect the family to be better than that. And I will always say it does start with the family because that's what she married. She literally married into. But certainly their cooperation with the tabloid and the support of, I guess, half of the people over there as they're making their way over to the right wing. Their marriage within that institution, it didn't last. Not even 2 years. It's been less than 2 years since she got married. So people will point to America and say, oh, well, we're not like that. And they love to throw that whole, well, we abolished slavery first and crap. And to that point, because that has always annoyed me, while, let's say England, they might have abolished chattel slavery before America, but most people don't realize that even after they abolished it, their financial markets kept it strong. Because while slave owners in the American South took out mortgages on their property, which included the slaves that they quote unquote owned, do you want to know who was betting on those mortgages? People in London. Much in the same way people bet on or bet against mortgages of the 2008 housing crisis. So while they say, oh, well, we got rid of slavery first. No, but you continue to breathe life into the industry. Like oxygen to a house fire. That's called throwing the rock and hiding your hand. So that has always annoyed me. I kind of just had to get that off of my chest. But while people over there try to pretend, and that's been a big part of the discussion in the last couple of weeks, really. But people try to pretend that somehow Americans, we're just the big bad racists of the world. Yeah, it's a lot to iron out over here. I'm never going to act like that's not an issue. But what I'm not going to do is see what's happening to Meghan and then let y'all pretend that race isn't a factor. You're lying to yourselves and you're trying to lie to the world, and we're not going to let you do it. Harry is not going to let you do it. So while people are out here trying to blame Meghan, oh, well, it took less than 2 years and Meghan came in and she took Harry away from his family and they don't have the titles and now he's not even in his country. If you think for one moment that Meghan is driving this, then you never knew Harry to begin with. And he not even my prince. But I'll tell you who he is. He is Diana's son. And unlike Diana in this situation, Harry feels empowered. And while Diana's empowerment was growing as she got older, up until the day she died, Harry learned from her life. And he didn't let all that she went through go to waste. Because she sacrificed so that he could do exactly what he's doing right now and have the courage to do so. It is not lost on Harry that he's doing exactly what his mother never got the chance to do, which is to break free and live a life of his own, one that doesn't involve being a slave to the monarchy, one that doesn't involve having to obey people who are not looking out for your best interests, not even looking out for your life, but to live a life where they can be free to be exactly who they are, and one where the media are not the enemy. The media has a place. It really does, but it doesn't need to be the enemy. And in that setup, where they were the Duke and Duchess of Sussex living in England full time, the media made it clear from day one, they are the enemy. The media is the enemy of Harry and Meghan, because you're not going to be able to convince me that they didn't want to see Harry and Meghan break up. And they wanted to be a part of why they were able to drive a wedge in between them in this brand new marriage. They tried too hard. They tried everything. They tried everything. And Harry said, I'm not leaving my wife. I will leave my country before I leave my wife. Being a father, it really did wake up the beast in Harry. I think Harry has always looked around in the situation that he's in because he didn't ask to be born into it, but realized very quickly that he is just not like them. You're always going to have love for your family, but Harry's always been different. Harry is like his mother. Diana wasn't born into the family, but when she came into the family, she was quickly the star. Whether she wanted to be or not, she was it. But more important than being famous, being loved by the world, Diana was a good person. Diana cared about people, and that was evident. Harry got that from her. I'm not sure the rest of them have a compassionate bone in their body. Not for real. They got to work on it. It don't come natural to them the way it does for some people. And it's no mistake that after the Queen, Harry was always the most popular royal. And some years he was the most popular royal. It's because people recognize how different he is. He's not a cold person. He's a warm person in a cold institution that he was born into. And he tried as hard as he can, even before he knew Meghan existed, to walk in his mother's light, to be as similar to her, which is not hard for him because that's in his DNA, but to be caring, to carry her legacy and to build on her legacy. And he's going to continue to do that in his own way now, in his own way, as a person who's not connected or tied to the royal family as a working royal. But the fact that he's now a father and a husband, and there are people that he is hell-bent on protecting, it makes a hard decision easy. If this was ever a decision that, or an idea, the idea of leaving the royal family that he ever lost sleep over, let's say even in his early 20s or something like that, you stop losing sleep over it when your son comes into the world. And you can look into the future because you can look into your own past and you can see what the future spells and what the future holds for your child, Archie, and your wife, Meghan. If you don't make a decision to take a different course. That's why you can't take anyone seriously when they blame Meghan for this. And I think blame is a hard word. And from their perspective, there is somebody that they must blame because they don't like the fact that Harry has chosen his wife and his life over their bigotry. But from my perspective, as someone who supports them wholeheartedly, I'm celebrating the fact that they chose love. They chose a path of love over the bigotry that people wanted to beat them down. And for me, that's very beautiful because now it comes full circle, even if it's in such a short period of time. You remember that refrain at their wedding? There is power in love. Shout out to Bishop Michael Curry, who those stuffy royals rolled their eyes at and made faces at, thinking, oh, we don't do this. Yes, you do, because you're going to sit there and you're going to listen. So what you're going to learn today is that there is power in love. And you're going to learn it on May 19th, 2018. And you're going to learn it today. Because Harry chose the love of his wife and his family over that fake love coming from all those who hoped to see them fail. And those types of people, yeah, I'm kind of on England right now, but really they worldwide. Harry chose his wife. He chose his life. He chose his dignity. And so now they mad about it. But for real, let's get into the details. Scobie details. I'm just pulling this from Twitter, actually. But he went on to say that Prince Charles will still continue to offer private financial support, as he should. That is your son. And his long-term game is to be independent of that, which kudos to them. They will still attend engagements for the Queen, such as Trooping the Color. Now, I'm not sure if that changes once the Queen dies, and Charles is the king. Whether that continues to be something that Harry does, that'll say a lot to me in the future, but that's, maybe some years off. But then they will include further details down the line about the use of the name, quote, Sussex Royal, and they will share that in due course on their website, or maybe even through a statement of Buckingham Palace. Listen, I don't care what they call themselves. To me, and I'm going to always respect their choice, but to me, they're always going to be the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, meaning that those titles belong to them. There will never be another Duke or Duchess of Sussex. That makes no sense. I respect them for not wanting to use that. They will retain their HRH status, though. So if they wanted to continue to use Sussex Royal, or whether they wanted to or not, I'm going to support them no matter what. Let's be clear. And I'm not changing the name of my podcast, okay? So I'm not even worried about that. But whatever they want to call themselves or brand themselves, I'm supporting. And I know a lot of people made, a big deal out of the fact that the Queen gave him the Duke of Sussex, because the original Duke of Sussex was someone who campaigned for the abolishment of slavery and so on and so forth, and that it was symbolic because, Meghan is the descendant of American slaves and she was marrying into the royal family, and everybody was like, oh my God, that's cute. Okay, cool. Ain't gonna be no other Duke of Sussex. Ain't gonna be no other Duchess of Sussex. Whether they want to be seen as or referred to as Duke and Duchess of Sussex or Duke and Duchess at all, they're still going to have my support. And if the last week has been any indication, their support is growing exponentially since leaving the royal family. So I know they're not worried about that. And before this broke, I literally tweeted, they are within 100,000 followers, and which followers are just followers. They're just numbers, right? But they the most popular people in the royal family. I don't know why Kensington. I think they gave up after they left. After they made that announcement, they were stepping back from positions as senior royals. Their followers just shot up. It's going to be pretty much like 1 million followers within a week. Now they're on the cusp of becoming the most followed members of the royal family. Don't matter whether they major members, minor members. At this point, they are the members. They may as well be like the royal family, because without them in it, don't nobody care about the royal family. And Kensington Palace, and this is a petty point right now, I do admit it, but Kensington Palace only has the followers they have because Meghan joined the royal family. They had 2 million followers. But anyway, their support is going to do nothing but grow. And there are people who are invested in seeing them win just because of how they were treated. And I have no doubts that's exactly what's about to happen. So sit back and watch this. Because y'all got Harry messed up. Y'all got Meghan messed up. And to echo my girl Kim, so does that mean we getting a Tig back, or? Because I would love Kim Metal Guitar, sis, what's up? Yeah, I would love to see the Tig come back. Because it was hers before any of this introduction into the royal life and all of that. Meghan had her own thing. And she still got her own thing. You want to know why? Because she got a brain. Girl got gumption. So I don't know, man. I hope we do get the Tig back. Because the Tig was that girl. But the Sussexes did release a statement on their website, and I'm just going to go ahead and read that. It says, in line with the statement by Her Majesty the Queen, and they link the statement, information on the roles and work of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will be updated on this website in due course. We appreciate your patience and invite you to explore the website because we got that. Explore the site and see the current works of their royal highnesses. Making it clear, they still y'all royal highnesses. Okay? Because that ain't gonna change. But you know, the media and the tabloids gonna do what they do. Already, you are starting to see instances of people saying Harry and Meghan have been stripped of their royal titles. They have been stripped of fundings. They have been made to pay back the £2.4 million going into Frogmore Cottage. Rest assured, that's their way of trying to change the narrative. That's the media's way of trying to do that. But we already know what went down. As I said in the beginning, they're removing all of your points, all of your bullet points, all of the things y'all love to complain about. They basically giving you what you want, because then what you gonna complain about? The only thing that's gonna be left is your bigotry. So essentially, they're allowing you to expose yourself fully to the world. Because now if you complain about anything they do, especially as they are now, for the most part, private citizens, what are you really complaining about, girl? I mean, it's like a masterstroke. I love it. And something else that needs to be discussed. What I don't understand is why anyone would want to stay in an antiquated institution like the royal family, given how popular Harry and Meghan are. The thing about royals is that whether they're super popular or not, even within the country, they're sort of at a status that is beyond regular celebrity, you know, beyond an actress or beyond, you know, some kind of laureate of some kind. They're royal. They somehow represent. That's why people are so quick to say, but we own them. People have literally said, we own them. You actually don't own any of those people over there. And I'm not even just talking about Harry and Meghan. You don't own them. But the fact that that idea has made its way so deep inside the public discourse, and this idea that, yeah, we own them. No, you might contribute to paying for their lifestyle in some very, let's reemphasize, small way, but you don't own anybody. Owning somebody is called slavery. But see, it would make no sense in 2020, and shout out to 2020 for Harry and Meghan, because they letting y'all know quite early in the year what they will and will not tolerate and what they see for themselves in their future. But it would make no sense for someone as popular as Harry and Meghan in 2020. You could argue they are more famous by them being members of the royal family, especially Harry, because Harry's been famous since he was a baby. And again, I mentioned this before, the goodwill for Diana's sons grew after her death because the world watched what she went through in her life. And then they saw how Harry could have very easily gone a darker direction, chose to go toward the light in his life after his mother's death into young adulthood. And they respected him for that. But some of these same people, they hated him for choosing a woman of color to be his wife and mother of his children. But Harry and Meghan, they're more famous than some of the most famous people. And year after year, they're always in the center of the conversation of who's who and who's what. They're just two people who happen to use their fame and their status for good. But I'm so glad that they reached a point where they said, you don't get to have our work ethic, and you don't get to capitalize off of our popularity if you're not going to protect us at the very least. Because this right here, this is backwards already. It's backwards on its own. But you not finna get us to go to the dark ages with you. You know what I mean? And so people have said this in the Sussex Squad so many times. And it is so true, because it was the moment where I felt something. Like something was like, oh, okay, so that's how famous they are. It was the balcony moment. And you already know what I'm talking about. On that first tour to Australia, New Zealand, and Tonga, they were in Tonga. And they waved to the crowd. And it was full of people. And the crowd roared. And Meghan had on her white dress and her hat. And Harry had on his gray suit. And they were waving. They looked like a king and a queen. But they didn't just have that moment. The whole tour was when the world realized, but when the family also realized the power in their influence. But they still tried to tough it out. They still tried to be team players because Harry loves his grandmother and respects his grandmother, not just as a grandmother, but as the queen. Harry loves his country. But again, it becomes an easy choice to step back and leave it behind for a little while. When you don't get that love and it somehow doesn't translate or transfer over to your wife, this person who was now my other half, it didn't work for Harry. It's not going to work for Harry. So the fact that they were able to look at all of those metrics and decide that it actually makes no sense to waste this influence. Not only that, but we're doing all this work for free. You're getting all this black girl magic for free. That's the end of that. That's the end of that. And yeah, people can try to make their little jokes. Oh, they're going to be the Kardashians. How many times have we heard the Kardashians mentioned to compare Meghan of somehow, was she a Kardashian before she came into the royal family? And no disrespect to the Kardashians, because them are paid. They're paid. But they're not saying anything about the funds. They're talking about how they don't think that they are classy. And somehow, no, Meghan's now going to be a Kardashian. Well, you never thought highly of Meghan anyway. Even though you and I both know deep down that she's classier than you and probably anybody you know. But one thing you're going to know about the Kardashians and the Carters and the Obamas and the Clooneys, they work for themselves. That's what they do. Something hardly any of these critics can actually say for themselves. So you can make your little jokes and your comparisons now. And let me emphasize, it's not about the money, but it is about the freedom to make an impact that you want to make in the way you want to make it without somebody dragging you behind and expecting you to take abuse as they slow the impact that you know you can have in the world. In fact, I think there are forces that were deliberately trying to throttle the Sussexes, even within the context of the royal family, trying to prevent them from going just a little bit too far out in front. Well, you can't do that now, can you? And do you want to know why? 'Cause you can keep it. You can keep it, sis. I mean, brilliant. Harry and Meghan, I am so proud. They just keep confirming the fact that their supporters know they picked the winners. And we called it. We called it. But this is something that I feel like Harry has been thinking for a long time, waiting for this day, this year, this defining year in his life where he's no longer attached to them. He doesn't have to just differentiate himself within the family. He can do it now outside of the family. He just needed a strong enough reason to do it. And with the help of the tabloids, again, it was an easy decision. And to the people who are sad about it, the supporters, the Harry and Meghan supporters who are sad about it, don't be sad. I can't tell you really how to feel, but this is a good day. This is something that Harry has wanted for his entire life, or much of it, especially the life after his mother passed. This man is doing what he has to do. He is being the man of the family. And again, he knows his family better than Meghan does. I truly believe that if Harry was a type of person who said, you know, this is it. This is my life. This is what you married into, Meghan. Of course, Meghan is who she is, and she knows she picked the right man, and Harry knows he picked the right woman. But like, if Harry really wanted to stick it out, I have no doubts that Meghan is that ride or die chick. And they would do what they had to do. But do you understand that, like, from the beginning, once it became evident that the tabloids were not going to let up on them, they tried to adapt every step of the way. They moved out of Kensington Palace to stop the leaks. And when they moved to Frogmore Cottage and the budget came out, that's all people complained about it. Well, we pay for them. We pay for them. They made up stories about, you know, their neighbors and the way Harry and Meghan supposedly treated their neighbors, but would love to go on tour with them every time they went somewhere outside of England in an official capacity. Then it got more serious. Harry released that statement at the end of the Africa tour, saying, we have noticed what y'all have done and what y'all are trying to do in the tabloid media. And I have watched my wife suffer in silence. And for much of that, she has been pregnant. So Harry has been pushing back the entire time. And notice he's been the one speaking out about it, because you know what happens if Meghan dares to say anything. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Because that's really the prevailing question over Harry and Meghan's entire existence. Who do they think they are? That's what the balcony moment was for the royal family and the tabloid press. Who do they think they are? The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge? The Prince and Princess of Wales? The King and Queen of England? Who do they think they are? But it's especially true for Meghan. Who does this little black girl think she is, coming into our country, marrying our prince, influencing our youth, living off our tax dollars? Although that's not accurate, didn't stop people from saying it. No one should have to live like that. And the irony is, economically, they're living better than most people in the world. You would think, but that's just on the surface. Because at the end of the day, the emotional toil is not worth it. It's not worth it. And Harry has had enough. I cannot imagine what it is like to be him, knowing what he knows about his family. And the older you get, the more you learn about your family, period. I don't care whose family you're in. You learn things when you get older. And you start either putting things together or, making sense of things that maybe something didn't make sense when you were younger, but it makes sense now that you're 35 or 34, however old Harry is. And I can't imagine being in his position, knowing what he knows, witnessing what he's witnessing, and not having just outright rage issues, even up to his current age. As a teenager, as a young man, you saw the way the press tried to treat him then, and he was well within his rights to do whatever he needed to do to cope. But the fact that he is even, the fact that he is calm, the fact that he is methodical, the fact that he actually still feels a sense of duty, but is just taking the opportunity and making the only choice to step away from it in order to protect his own family and the rest of his life, actually, the quality of the rest of his life. He has my respect. He has my respect, because nobody I know would blame him for putting a chokehold on some of those folks in his family. And the press. I don't talk very much about the press in this whole scenario, even though they are one of the driving forces behind the way all of this has come together. But they're just always in the background being the nasty thugs that they are. We know that. But why I keep re-emphasizing the family is that they should have had his back from day one. But see, now you have to question, did they ever have Harry's back? They know he was the popular one. They know he felt a sense of duty and they took advantage of that. But see, now when it came to him actually fighting for his life and his wife's life, they had nothing to say. It was crickets. But now it's, we are family. You know I love my Prince Harry. Where were you when he needed you to actually show that love? Because you were nowhere to be found. And you lost the people that were, again, trying to drag y'all into the 21st century. And so I do get why people are sad. I'm only sad that it actually came to this. Because with so much privilege, with so much access, with so much wealth, and with so much influence that that institution contains, you would have actually thought that they would have been able to make it, that there would have been a place for Meghan in that institution, because the institution wants to go forward. They want to remain relevant, but I'm not sure. It's like, how stupid as a family must you be that you can't see that, and right now we're living it. You can't see that making it hard for the people who are trying to drag you into the 21st century and essentially running Meghan out of the family because you didn't think you was going to run your son and your grandson out. Your brother, you didn't think he was going to go with his wife. Y'all counted on him being as dysfunctional as y'all are. But the fact that the two of them together have decided to leave it all behind because of the lack of support, why would they want to be associated with that anyway? Why would they want to be near that anyway? Why would they want to raise their son in that dysfunction anyway? The fact that they're choosing not to is something to celebrate. It is something to be happy for them about. And even after all is said and done, you're still sort of sad. I mean, because if I was English, I'd be angry. But because I'm an American, I'm happy. I'm sorry. I'm so petty right now. I'm happy that they're living over here on this side of the world where people aren't going to make their lives a living. But if I were English and I was a supporter of Harry and Meghan, I truly feel for y'all. So y'all certainly do have a right to be sad about it because it's a sad situation. It's two sides of the same coin because we're celebrating the life that they're making for themselves. But we're sad about the fact that they tried to make a life where they were and they weren't welcome. But if you're still sad, I hope that you think about this. Archie, he's going to be nowhere near it. He's going to be nowhere near that toxicity. And that's exactly what Harry and Meghan have made sure of. Because you best believe that's in the forefront of their mind and has always been. There's no reason that Meghan had to go through what she went through as a pregnant woman. And they're certainly not going to allow that to continue over into the childhood of the children that she's carrying into this world. It just doesn't make sense. So be happy for them. Be happy that they have decided that what they want is something better. What they want is something bigger. They know their power. They know their influence. They're not going to stop being who they are just because they don't want to be called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They're just actually able to breathe and probably sleep better now. That's something to be happy about. That's really all I got for today. To be honest, I'm finna go get me some wine and just watch all the reactions come in. This is my relaxed day. And like I told Maya, I thought this was going to be a low-key Saturday. You know, all the news died down from the initial announcement. And boom, here they go. So congrats, Harry. Congrats, Meghan. I am so proud of y'all. Y'all are really setting an example of what love looks like, and not in that fairy tale sense, although this is pretty close to a modern fairy tale as you're ever going to get. But the fact that they're putting their foots down and they're refusing to be abused. Harry's refusing to choose family loyalty. And I'm talking about to the royal family over his wife. They literally share blood in their child now. Ain't gonna work for us, sis. I'm so happy for them. I'm proud of them. He's really showing what it looks like to have a man who has your back. And as I heard somebody put it on Twitter, this is as close to an abdication as you're gonna get. He's giving you what you want. He's giving you what you want. He's not even gonna be king, but he's still giving you what you want because he loves his wife. Get you somebody who's going to love you like that instead of complaining about the fact that he does love his wife. Continue to teach these people out here, Harry and Meghan. We are squarely Team you. Never doubt it. We ain't going nowhere. All you got to do is let us know what to support and when, and we are there. Period. Y'all have a good one. I know this is going to be a ratchet episode, but make sure y'all hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram. You can find me on Patreon. I'm out here because it's wine time. Peace.
I'm a bad bitch. You can't kill me.